Bueno, yo pienso que me he enfrentado a todo tipo de peleadores. Incluso pienso que me he enfrentado a boxeadores de igual o más nivel que él. Y estoy seguro también que él nunca ha enfrentado a un peleador con, con, con mi capacidad en el ring y con mi nivel en el ring.
How do you see this fight going?
Un gran combate, un combate entretenido, un combate interesante, pero siempre con el mismo final. And the no.
January 24th is just around the corner as we begin searching for more money-making opportunities, more locks when it comes to the sport of boxing. And in my opinion, I see one that absolutely stands out to me in an upcoming clash taking place in Las Vegas, Nevada, between Andy Cruz, 6-0, 3 KOs, Olympic gold medalist, Cuban sensation, the pride of Cuba, going up against Raymond Muratalla, 23 wins, 17 of those coming by way of knockout. Head trainer Robert Garcia in the corner for Raymond Muratalla. Also going up against Bozy Ennis. Bozy Ennis, the father of Jerome Boots Ennis, head trainer of Andy Cruz. A classic matchup between Philly and Cali, two of the best trainers in the sport of boxing that we have right now, and two of the best fighters in the 135-pound lightweight division. You guys, before we go in to picking and giving you the reasons why I think this fighter is going to win, let me break down both fighters to you first. Raymond Muratalla, 23-0, 17 of those wins coming by way of knockout. Undefeated, is the reigning defending IBF 135-pound lightweight champion after being elevated as Vasily Lomachenko decides to retire from the sport. Abadayev, the fighter he just fought, was for the interim IBF bout. Therefore, just like that, boom, Raymond, new champion. This is a guy, like I said, started his career in 2016, has 10 years of experience on him, compared to Andy Cruz, 6-0, 3 KO, standing at 5'9", Olympic gold medalist, who started his career in 2023 after defecting from Cuba back in 2022, and only had 6 fights. So 2 to 3 years of experience versus 10 years of experience when it comes to Raymond Muratalla. Now, at the same time, Raymond Muratalla is 28 years old, while Andy Cruz is 30 years old. So there, of course, he has more professional experience than Raymond Muratalla. But when it comes to overall boxing experience, I think Andy Cruz has been doing this longer than Raymond. And during their amateur careers, competed at a way higher level. Raymond Muratalla never became an Olympic qualifier for the United States, never represented the United States, never won any Pan Am World Championships, nothing like that. Has a couple wins over Ryan Garcia in the amateurs. It is recorded 3 different wins in their teens, which is great. But when you look at somebody like Andy Cruz, 2-time Pan American gold medalist, 3-time world champion gold medalist, 2020 Olympic gold medalist after beating Keyshawn Davis, a guy that he's beaten 3 different times. I believe he's beaten him at the Olympics, he beat him at the Pan American Games, and he beat him at the World Championships. He's 2 years older than Raymond Muratalla, but barely decided to turn professional back in 2023. Joined the likes of Bozy Ennis, and in his last 3 fights has recorded 2 knockouts. Has been looking like he's getting a lot better, a lot stronger, transitioning from the way he fought in the Olympics to the pros, right? One of the things about Andy Cruz, one of the scary things about Andy Cruz is his IQ, his intelligence, his reflexes, his head movement, his pull counters, his slip counters, his angles, his footwork has always been absolutely phenomenal. Great defense, everything. Checks the box, marks the box for everything. But power was a thing that, Andy Cruz not being the biggest lightweight, in the division, it kind of seemed like that was the one thing that he needed. But joining the likes of Bozy Ennis and getting used to fighting in the pros, the power is starting to come behind him. If you guys don't remember, in the amateurs, he wasn't throwing every single punch with power. This was the guy who was tit-tatting you. Pa-ba, pa-ba, pa-ba. If you remember the Keyshawn Davis fight, during the fight, they were telling Keyshawn Davis, yo, take off a little bit on your punches. You see, Andy Cruz isn't hitting you hardest, but he's being elusive. So Keyshawn Davis didn't really listen to them, but needed to take off some of that power on his punches to compete against somebody like Andy Cruz. Since then, joining the professionals, Andy Cruz is really built on building power in his punches, and his volume is absolutely phenomenal, right? Raymond Muratalla, I would say, is a two-dimensional fighter. I think he's good at everything, right? He has a good jab, good left hook, good right hand. Isn't necessarily a volume puncher, is not throwing 6 to 8 punch combinations and, hundreds of punches around, but is calculated, is taking small steps forward, can fight with pressure, can also fight going back. Isn't taking the most angles, but is a good fighter overall. Powerful puncher. He isn't a one-punch knockout pony, but this is a guy who can hit you and gain your respect off of one punch. For a fact, we know going into this fight, Raymond Muratalla is the bigger, stronger puncher than Andy Cruz. But that being said, I see a fighter like Raymond Muratalla fight guys like Tevin Farmer. He got a great win over Jeremiah Nakathila. We can't lie about that, right? Knocking him out in the second round when it took Abdullah Mason 5 rounds, which, of course, Stevenson beat him by decision, right? Great win right there. And what in my opinion, absolutely just blew him up. Wow, right? Then he gets a win over Tevin Farmer, and his last win against Abu Dhabi was a great win, but I thought I needed to see more wrinkles in his game. I thought he looked one-dimensional, fighting somebody, the Russian in Abu Dhabi, and against Tevin Farmer, he was getting clipped a couple times, but showed the forward pressure, and as, you start to go into those later rounds, if you get tired on him, and he picks up his volume, he is a great fighter. Raymond Muratalla is nobody to sleep on. That is a fact. But when I look at somebody like Andy Cruz does everything better than Raymond Muratalla, who sometimes tends to stand in that Philly shout. I think somebody like Andy Cruz is going to be able to throw that right hand, catching Raymond Muratalla every single time, punishing him every single time he ends up in that position. Andy Cruz has did nothing but impress me every single time he goes out there and fights. I think he does everything better than Raymond Muratalla. He has a better inside game, a better outside game, can move his head better defense, better ring IQ, better reflexes, the pull counter, the slip jab, does everything better than Raymond Muratalla. I think going into this fight, it's going to be very important for Raymond Muratalla to make this a dirty fight, to put the pressure on him, the volume, and use his heart. Because even though Andy Cruz may be more technically sound everywhere, that is a way that Raymond Muratalla could beat him. Be calculated, be smart. But Andy Cruz, to me, is one of the best boxers in the sport, right? When it comes to boxing skills, is training with guys like Jerome Boots Ennis and Bozy Ennis is a high level. The highest level, even though, Raymond Muratalla is training with absolutely high level people over there at the Robert Garcia training camp in Oxnard, California. I still think at minus 220 odds, the skills that Andy Cruz possesses, everything that he does great, everything he does in the sport of boxing has been absolutely fantastic. I think he's going to come in here and get a decision win over his Raymond Muratalla. At minus 220, I am picking Andy Cruz to win today. And hopefully the odds don't start to spread further and further before January 24th takes place. If they do, capitalize on it. Because in my opinion, I do think Raymond has a chance. Don't get me wrong. But I still believe Andy Cruz is the more well-rounded, more established, more not experienced in the pros, but experienced in overall boxing, coming from that Cuban school. I think Andy Cruz is going to come in here and give a schooling to Raymond Muratalla. Therefore, I am picking Andy Cruz to beat Raymond. It's going to be a fantastic fight between fighters and also coaches that I can't wait for. But that is my early prediction, and it will be a lock for January 24th. Andy Cruz and new IBF 135-pound lightweight world champion, my people. Let me know in the predictions. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Who do you got winning this fight between Raymond Muratalla and Andy Cruz? Is Andy Cruz far more better, more experience when it comes to the sport of boxing? Does he know how to do everything technically better than Raymond Muratalla? Because you can say Raymond has more professional experience, but has he done as many reps as Andy Cruz has done? Coming from that Cuban school, we are gonna see who really is the more experienced, more better fighter when it comes to the sport of boxing, my friends. This is the MMA Boxing Addicts channel, and I'm